Alright, so let's move on and laugh at Ubisoft. Because I don't know how many of you guys know about this, but Ubisoft, their stock literally went through the floor like in the last day or two. Like their stock dropped like, was it 30%? I think. I think it was 30%. Yeah, but like, oh yeah, their stock like went off a fucking cliff. It's hilarious. And Brett might actually bring up the stock price. But let's take a look.
Hey, what's up, guys? Ruff here. So it's always very satisfying to see someone get what they actually deserve. And who we're talking about today is Ubisoft. This is a company I've spent a lot of time talking about over the past year or two, mainly focusing on their downfall. A very deserved one because for years and years, they have been producing AAA and even quadruple A slop that represents not only laziness and poor decisions, but also ignorance in many cases, where they're not listening to what gamers actually want and they double down on some very bad decisions. And now they find themselves in some very dire straits. And with some recent announcements, they're not just dealing with some financial hardships, they are in pure survival mode. So this is kind of the cold, hard facts of what we're talking about today. Ubisoft has canceled 6 games and delayed 7 others to ensure quality. The company will also announce additional layoffs. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, couldn't have happened to a worse company. The same one that told you, gamers, to get comfortable with not owning your games. Well, I hope Ubisoft is getting comfortable not being able to develop their own games due to their own failure. Now, this has been a long time coming.
There it is. Look at that. This is over the last 5 years. You're not even seeing the end here where it cuts off. It literally does this. Boom! It is literally a cliff face here at the end.
For years and years, the stock at Ubisoft has been plummeting, and no matter what they do, and no matter how much coping you see from their fanboys, it's not turning around. It's only getting worse and worse. And the fact that this company is still hanging...
To your point, Redman, this right here was, like, if memory serves on the dates, I think this might have been the little bump that they got when the Tencent buy-in was announced. This right here was about the time when they got the Tencent buy-in, I think. They got that tiny little bump up, and then no, trash.
Hanging on is kind of impressive in a morbid sort of sense. So here's the major headline for today. Ubisoft details major company reset, 6 games
Richie, what Ubisoft's IPs are actually their major IPs are being divested into like an offshoot company. So they're big ones like Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed, Rainbow, and the Tom Clancy franchise. So yeah, Assassin's Creed, Tom Clancy franchise, and there was a third one. I'm trying to remember what their third franchise is. But basically their top 3 franchise. It could have been the Far Cry. I don't think Prince Persia. I think it was it could have been Far Cry, but I don't recall. But yeah, their top 3 franchises got moved over into like another like lateral studio that was created when Tencent did the buy-in. When they did the buy-in is this like other like side company got established, and all of their 3 major franchises got punked into it. Well, I don't think anybody's gonna get Anthem Rygat. I mean, Anthem shut down. Anthem, like they killed the servers. Anthem is now a dead game. Literally a dead game. No one can play it.
For today, Ubisoft details major company reset, 6 games canned, 7 delayed, and 2 studios closed. Prince of Persia remake among canceled projects. Company reorganizes into 5 creative houses specializing in genres. Now, you might be as confused as me because all of the woke people.
It's a good laugh and it's very appropriate.
People on Twitter told me that Assassin's Creed Shadows was this massive success that was turning things around for Ubisoft. I mean, are you telling me the non-binary African samurai was not able to save Ubisoft? That this did not translate into financial success? Are you telling me that the most notable achievements of this game, ratioing people on Twitter who are mocking their game, are you telling me that did not translate into success? I can't believe this, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm shocked. Shocked! Well, not that shocked. Actually, I can tell you exactly how shocked I am. Yes, that shocked.
And of course, you know, we remember the numbers, right? People coping about extremely disappointing numbers. Oh, it's just, you know, Steam doesn't really count, oh, blah, 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 blah. We heard it all, okay? When you have Assassin's Creed Shadows come out and announce how many players they had, we already knew there was big trouble. Anybody who was not coping knew if you're announcing player numbers instead of units sold, you are covering up for a very disappointing launch, and that's exactly what happened. And one more thing before we get back into the current stuff. I can't believe it. Thomas Lockley might have killed Ubisoft. This guy alone with his fan fiction about Yasuke, he might have actually been...
I'm going to disagree. I don't think... I'll let Rev say what he's going to say, but I have a feeling I'm going to disagree with it.
The catalyst that brought forth the downfall of Ubisoft. Amazing stuff. Now, referring back...
Okay. I don't think so. It was a factor. He did not help. It was a factor, to be sure. Absolutely, it was a factor. But realistically speaking, what brought the game down was the gameplay and the stories. The fact that they basically did like the whole like non-binary gay thing, where it did, you know, the absolute dog shit line reading, just like the game in and of itself was bad. What Thomas Lockley did not help. No, I don't think he gave the nails for the coffin, because the thing with Thomas Lockley happened before the game released. That's the whole thing. His thing happened before the game even, like, long before the game even released. It was that stacked on top of what we got from when the game was actually launched that killed it off. So it was a totality of it. He didn't help, but I wouldn't say that he was instrumental in destroying the game and thus Ubisoft. It was everything altogether. It was just a shit game.
Back to the main headline from today's video. You can see there are 6 games canned, 7 delayed. We're not going to know the majority of the names, okay? This is a classic Ubisoft or really any major studio type of move where, of course, you can see here Ubisoft's next game is going to be a Ubisoft game. My sources have just informed me that this Ubisoft game has been canceled. Oh my goodness. Of course, they're not announcing a lot of these to save face. They don't want to cause like more hysteria, especially among their shareholders. But the one they have confirmed publicly is the cancellation of Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time remake, which of course, ouch. The Prince of Persia franchise, once a very good one, has become a big mess. I mean, this game was something that's been in development, this remake, for a long time, and it's faced a lot of controversy, and finally, after all this time, it has been officially canceled, not delayed.
Yeah, and yeah, that's excellent point there. Don't forget that Ubisoft has been getting the shit slapped out of them by hackers. Do not forget that in the course of like 2 weeks, they got hacked 3 times, and the source code for literally every fucking game they've made since like the 90s has been stolen. Yeah, I'm sure that had nothing to do with what's happening to Ubisoft.
Canceled, and they made an official announcement on their related Twitter accounts, just basically rehashing the same things we've been saying, and the comments on this are brutal. Translation: we injected so much woke BS into the remake, the game will flop if we release it as is, and we don't have enough money to remove those elements. This is the only...
I'm actually gonna say that it's not that they injected so much woke BS in the remake. I think it's more along the lines of they ran out of money to make the game. I think that's it, that they literally just ran out of money because Ubisoft stock has gone through the floor. They're dumping hundreds of millions of dollars into the development of these games, and they just ran out of money. And they're closing out 2 studios. They're trying to cut costs everywhere they can. And Prince of Persia just wasn't a top priority for them, so they just said, fuck it, we're gonna cut it. We can't afford to make this game anymore, along with just about every other fucking game that they make. And that's what it boils down to. They are out of money. And so they can't make games anymore because they don't have any money.
Ubisoft game I cared about. Unless you revive Splinter Cell or Rayman, I'm out, and you won't be seeing any of my money. You can't remake your own game. Brutal. Go woke, go broke. All my homies hate Ubisoft. Pretty sad we'll never get this. People were convinced it's on the edge of releasing. Probably for the best. I don't think it was. Sell the IP. That's probably the best thing they can do at this point, is simply sell.
What's going to happen is Tencent's going to buy up the entire company. That's what's going to happen now. Ubisoft is to the floor. Tencent is going to basically do a hostile takeover. They're going to do a hostile takeover. They're going to buy Ubisoft for pennies on the dollar, and instead of just getting 4 of those IPs, they're going to get all of the IPs. I think that's what's going to happen, because when they bought into Ubisoft stock had not gone through the floor yet. They bought it like a year ago when it was bad, but it wasn't through the floor. Now that it is literally rock bottom, at 95 cents a share, Tencent's going to just do I think Tencent's going to just finish what they started, do a hostile takeover, and just literally buy up Ubisoft. Buy up Ubisoft, maybe dissolve the company as a whole, and they'll keep maybe actually I was going to say maybe they'll keep the Ubisoft brand name, but honestly, I don't even think they're going to keep the Ubisoft brand name right now, because the Ubisoft name is toxic in the gaming industry. Like, anybody sees made by Ubisoft and people are immediately turning away. So I think that, if Tencent, someone said NetEase, maybe NetEase will buy it, but they're going to buy out the company, shutter it, Ubisoft will cease to exist, and all the properties will now be launched under a completely different name. That's what's probably going to happen at this point. Because again, the Ubisoft name is so toxic that they won't be able to sell anything that has the Ubisoft branding on it. So that branding has to go away if they want to try and recoup anything from these franchises.
The IP, but there's something truly painful when you think about it, right? They can't even finish their own games. They can't even finish their own remakes. A remake of a game, by the way, that takes about 8 hours to play through. Like, absolutely insane. Another title that many people believe was canceled, yet not officially confirmed, was the remake of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. This is
Oh,
something
I
that
bet you
was
that's
lined up for
canceled.
release somewhat soon, and given the sort of nature of this mass cancellation of
Well, okay, why remake Black Flag, Revan? Because Assassin's Creed Black Flag is one of the most popular Assassin's Creed games in the franchise. This game was one of the most popular games in the franchise because it combined the traditional Assassin's Creed elements with actual like ship combat, like piracy, travel on a ship, and because you had a combination of those two elements with the ship combat and ship sailing being like one of the only games that actually has that unique characterization in the game, it was the most popular because of that. You saw it, got the teaser of it in Assassin's Creed 3, and then, Black Flag leaned into it. And realistically, the ship, like sailing your ship was the one thing of Assassin's Creed Black Flag that gamers loved. That was the part of Assassin's Creed gamers loved. Most gamers didn't give a fuck about the assassinating shit. Most gamers didn't want to get off the boat, go on land, and continue the story doing like assassin shit. They loved sailing the seas, doing ship combat. They had a blast doing that over the traditional Assassin's Creed stuff. And that's why people were eagerly anticipating Black Flag, I think erroneously, because I think they would have fucked it up. But that's why Black Flag was the most popular, and that's why they were going to remake it, because they were desperate for a hit. And Assassin's Creed Black Flag had a built-in fan base that loved the original game, and they were counting on that fan base to make a profit when they remaster it and re-release it.
Games in development. Many people believe this was one of the games on the chopping block, but of course, we had another media call that accompanied this whole announcement. It's one of many they've been making over the past couple of months, even years, to try to spin everything in a positive light for the shareholders.
Wait, hold up. I got to read all this. In a media call, Ubisoft Chief Financial Officer Frederick Duguet explained the decision to cancel 6 games, delay further 7, as a part of the finalization of the reorganization. We went through a review of projects across December and January with the current market evolution in mind. We are already doing the bullshit Corpo speak. The current market evolution in mind, which is persistently more selective. You mean gamers like actual good games? Is that what you mean by the market evolution, which is persistently more selective? I.e., gamers just want to play decent fucking games? You've seen the last quarter showing a never-seen-before level of competition. So competition and selection is here to stay. Again, translation. Tiny indie developers are making simple, fun games, and they're making us eat our lunch as a AAA company. A below A game, an indie company that's doing it literally for the love of the game, is making them eat their fucking lunch. Or they are eating Ubisoft's lunch. Excuse me, I used the phrase incorrectly. Yeah, the indie game studios are literally eating Ubisoft's lunch, and that is what competition is. But when you're coming in number 1, number 2 with great content quality on a given segment, then you can have a very strong reward in terms of player reception and financial performance. So that's what really formed our pipeline review. Oh, the Corpo speak. Oh, the fucking Corpo speak. Oh my God, we enhanced the quality criteria to select what we think should be the best projects to put the creative houses in the best conditions to succeed in that market, with the idea that we must refocus our resources on the strongest potential games for the long term. So that's really the criteria, the approach we follow to either stop some games And in therein, there are 3 new IPs that we stopped in the context where, yes, it's more difficult in this market to create new IPs than before, or to give additional time for projects that we think have great potential, but we need to make sure they come with exceptional quality. Oh God, the Corpo desperate backpedaling. Ah! I love it.
Who are absolute fools for holding on this long. But here is a quote from the chief financial officer at Ubisoft saying this: "We enhance the quality criteria to select what we think should be the best projects to put the creative houses in the best conditions to succeed in that market with the idea."
No, it's Corpo speak for we're broke. We're hiring a ton of people, but we're not honestly sure that's going to make a fucking difference in the end. That's what it means.
That we must refocus our resources on the strongest potential games for the long term. Now, of course, the quality control over there, we're going to get more quadruple A slop, I'm sure. But one of those houses, one of the 5, the major one, is of course Vantage Studios, okay? That is partially owned by Tencent, and they're focusing on Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six, and this is their description, to be annual billionaire brands.
So does that mean that they plan on monetizing the fuck out of it so that only billionaires can have fun? Because only billionaires can afford to do the pay-to-win bullshit that Ubisoft was planning on injecting into all 3 of those franchises? Because that's what that sounds like.
Oh boy, that's going over well. As Endymion points out, they have learned nothing, man. Nothing. Has the Black Flag remake been delayed, or is it still on track for March? Not sure. Yeah, I think it's very clear that it's been, at the very least, delayed, or even just outright canceled. Start treating them as such, and maybe they will be. If you want to treat these brands as billion-dollar annual brands, start treating them like that. But again, they can't even squeeze a profit out of these iconic IPs at this point. It's all just so embarrassing. But there's 4 other creative houses. The second one is offering competitive and cooperative shooter experiences, and the brands include Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell, The Division. The third house is operating a roster of select, sharp, live experiences. The fourth is...
Notice what they've included in there. Skull and Bones, which was an abject fucking failure of spectacular proportions, and The Crew, which Ubisoft just took a fuck ton of heat recently because they shut down the servers for one of their older Crew games, and now people can't even play it. Operating a roster of select, sharp live experiences when they're shutting the servers of the games that, of the older games that people actually like, down. I can't remember if they, I don't know if they got a lawsuit over it, or if it's it's definitely what spawned the Stop Killing Games movement. So I can't remember if there was actually a lawsuit for it, but like what happened when Ubisoft shut down the Crew servers and basically literally killed the game, it started the movement in the EU called Stop Killing Games, which was like trying to basically garner enough signatures on, effectively speaking, a petition that they could present to the EU as like for something to them to bring up, similar to like how they brought up the whole thing about charging cables, and they forced Apple to switch from Lightning to USB-C in the EU, and by doing that, then Apple had to change it across the entire world. They tried to do that with the Stop Killing Games movement too, to try and basically push it in the EU. So if they could get it something passed in the EU, then it would, invariably push throughout all of the world, and then, it would maintain, it would have like an, and it was, the whole purpose was it would force game developers to come up with a longevity plan for when the game is no longer being developed, to maintain the servers so the games were still playable in some way even after the game itself has been sunsetted. Now, unfortunately, I don't think it got enough. I think it stumbled at the last moment, and I don't think that they ever got enough signatures in order to get that, get them to do that. But they did try. They did try.
Is dedicated to immersive fantasy worlds and narrative-driven universes, and the fifth is reclaiming.
Oh, the first one did not Sky? The first one actually made it through. What the hell? Oh fuck, hang on. What the hell? Why is that set up on a trigger? Okay. That should... No, why is it doing that? Okay, I'll have to figure it out afterwards. For some reason, my hair is triggering on my left key. I don't know why.
Sharp live experiences. The fourth is dedicated to immersive fantasy worlds and narrative-driven universes. And the fifth is reclaiming a strong position in casual and family-friendly games. And I guess the whole sort of angle to this is they're going to be held to a high standard. That's their words. And if these creative houses don't produce, they might get axed as well. But part of this announcement, as you saw earlier, is that there's going to be more layoffs. 2 more studios were closed as a part of this move, and there's going to be another round of layoffs coming soon.
Oh, there it goes.
Not too surprising given this sort of restructuring, but yeah, they're doing everything they can possibly do to reduce their costs, because Ubisoft is drowning in their own expenses.
And it's not going to work.
And the fact that they're doing all this just to save 200 million euros over the next 2 years, man.
Ubisoft does have a Ubisoft's major hub is in Quebec. You are correct. It's Ubisoft Quebec. But it's other, like, these are just like studios. So so Ubisoft in Quebec is like a business facility. It's not it's not like an actual like small studio. They have like smaller studios everywhere, and 2 of them were in Halifax and Stockholm, and they've shuttered those.
The wheels are falling off. It's funny to think about some of the big successes of 2025, like Expedition 33, for example. It was developed by an ex-Ubisoft developer, and it's funny to see them having so much success. But there's many such examples of that, former Ubisoft developers going on to make hits. But yeah, this is the news, ladies and gentlemen. You get what you deserve, and nobody feels sorry for Ubisoft. They have really lined themselves up for this failure, and well, it's a combination of incompetence and arrogance on their behalf, and now they're trying to save things, but it's way too late. But anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
So, yeah. Ubisoft is done. I would not be surprised in the very near future we hear about either Tencent or NetEase or some other Chinese company, or even maybe a Saudi company, buying up all of Ubisoft, taking it over, and then just shuttering it and rebranding it. I would not be surprised in the slightest if we don't hear something like that in the next couple months.